Some trees bear fruit, others guard secrets. Forgotten legends of ancient Greece whisper of a single pomegranate tree unlike any other. Its roots reach deeper than any living thing, and every whisper carried through the earth until it reached the ears of Hades himself. To the world, it was only a tree, but to the king of the underworld, it was a pair of watchful eyes. So how did a simple pomegranate tree become the most faithful servant of death itself? This story did not begin with gods. It began with a young girl named Side. Side lost her mother when she was still a child. From that day on, the only family she had left was a father whose heart had long forgotten mercy. Every sunrise brought another wound, every night another nightmare. She grew up surrounded not by love, but by fear. There was nowhere she could run, no one she could ask for help. The only place where she found peace was beside her mother's grave. One day, she knelt before the weathered stone once again. She gently placed her hand upon it. Tears filled her eyes, and she whispered, "Mother, I can't endure this any longer." She stood, walked away from the cemetery, and climbed the cliffs overlooking the endless sea. Perhaps she didn't truly wish to die. She simply wanted to escape a life that had already become unbearable. She took one final breath and stepped into the abyss. When Side opened her eyes, the sky was gone. The wind was gone. Even time itself seemed to stand still. Only endless gray mist surrounded her, and before her stood the king of the underworld, Hades. For a long moment, he simply watched her. Then he spoke. "The eyes of those who seek death do not look like yours." Side slowly raised her head. "I never wanted to die. I only wanted to escape him." For perhaps the first time in eternity, the ruler of the dead felt compassion. Then he made her an offer. "I will give you another life, but you will no longer be human. You shall remain in the world above. Your roots will reach the deepest places beneath the earth. Everything you witness, I shall hear, and your father will carry the weight of his sins forever." Side closed her eyes and accepted. The earth split apart. Her feet became roots. Her arms stretched into branches. Her flowing hair became leaves. And her heart became the very first pomegranate. That day, the first sacred pomegranate tree was born. It stood only in the world of the living, yet its roots reached so deep beneath the earth that every whisper carried through them until it reached Hades. He could never walk beneath its branches. He could never touch its trunk. But whenever the wind stirred its leaves, the tree revealed everything it had seen. From that day forward, the sacred pomegranate became the eyes of Hades. But there was still one promise left to fulfill. Side's father, Hades, cursed him. His body twisted, his arms became wings, and he was transformed into a black kite. He was free to soar across the skies, but he would never know satisfaction again. The only thing capable of easing his endless hunger were the pomegranates born from Side herself. Every day, he returned to the cemetery. Every day, he tried to land upon the sacred tree, but each time, its thorn-covered branches came alive, driving him back into the sky. He could see his daughter, but he could never reach her. That was Hades' judgment, to live forever, with nothing but regret. The centuries passed. Kings rose and fell. Cities were built. Empires disappeared. Yet Side's tree remained. Though her own life had been stolen far too soon, she chose to give life to others. When the wind carried her seeds across the earth, stories began to spread. Women who had long dreamed of children found themselves holding newborns after tasting her fruit. Fields left barren for years bloomed once again where her seeds took root. Poor families who shared a single pomegranate believed abundance would never leave their homes. Lovers gathered beneath her branches, promising one another a love that would outlive time itself. Warriors returning home broke open pomegranates before crossing their thresholds as a blessing for a new beginning. Slowly, the pomegranate became the symbol of fertility, prosperity, love, loyalty, rebirth, and hope. No one remembered why, but Hades did, because that tree had once been nothing more than a lonely girl who only wished to see her mother again. Many years later, on a quiet autumn afternoon, Persephone, the daughter of Demeter, goddess of spring, found herself wandering through an ancient, forgotten cemetery. She noticed a magnificent pomegranate tree standing alone among the graves. One brilliant crimson fruit caught the sunlight, as though the tree itself were calling to her. She reached out and picked the fruit. The moment her fingers touched its skin, she felt something she could not explain. Far beneath the earth, the tree's ancient roots carried a whisper. Hades heard it and knew the one he had waited for had finally arrived. Yet he did nothing. He never came to the surface. He never called her. He simply waited, because some doors can only be opened from within. Days later, Persephone returned, this time by her own choice. She sat beneath the sacred tree, holding the fruit in silence. Something within it kept calling to her. Curiosity overcame hesitation. She ate the first seed, then another, then another. With every seed, a strange connection awakened inside her. When she swallowed the last one, the earth trembled, the ground slowly opened, and from the darkness, Hades appeared. He never reached for her. He never forced her. He simply looked into her eyes and spoke. Now, you can finally hear me. Persephone was not afraid. For days, she had already felt his presence within the fruit. It was never Hades who took the first step. It was Persephone who chose to walk into the underworld. When Demeter realized her daughter was gone, grief spread across the world. The fields withered, flowers faded, harvests failed. Humanity witnessed famine for the very first time. The gods eventually learned the truth. Persephone had not been abducted. She had made her own choice. But there was no turning back, because the fruit she had eaten was no ordinary pomegranate. It had grown from the heart of Sidi, blessed by Hades himself. Anyone who tasted its seeds would forever bind life and death together. From that day forward, Persephone's fate became inseparable from Hades. For part of every year, she would return to her mother, and the world would bloom. Flowers opened, trees bore fruit, life returned. Humankind called it spring. But when Persephone descended once more into the underworld, Demeter's sorrow covered the earth. Leaves fell, the world grew silent, and winter was born. Yet no one knew the truth. The endless cycle of the seasons began long before Persephone. It began with a lonely girl named Sidi, whose final gift to humanity was hope itself. And that leaves only one question. Was Hades truly the merciless god history remembers? Or was he simply the most misunderstood ruler mythology has ever known?